Good morning, I'm Adam Stanley.
And I'm Raven Richards. Welcome to the E2 News. This is the news for the week of Monday, February 16th to Friday, February 20th.
Here is this week's lunch menu.
Monday, pizza choice barbecue sandwich.
Tuesday, Mexican straw hat choice chicken patty.
Wednesday, chicken and noodles choice steak fingers.
Thursday, French toast choice turkey club.
Friday, enchilada choice chicken nuggets.
The Explorer bookstore will be open this Wednesday during lunch.
And remember, every book costs just $1.50 each.
The boys basketball team tournament starts this Tuesday. Our boys' first game is at Erskine Elementary at 4:30.
Good luck, boys. Bring home a victory.
Our cookie sale fundraiser item will be delivered to school on Tuesday.
Parents can pick up the items between 3:30 and 5 o'clock on Tuesday.
There will be a skating party this Thursday at the Anderson Arena from 6 to 8.
Remember to have your ride sign you in and pick you up no later than 8 o'clock.
It's time to hear the word of the week.
The word of the week is atrocious.
Atrocious means extremely bad.
For example, this winter weather is atrocious.
Remember to try using the word of the week when you are talking or writing this week.
Now it is time for the
Shout out of the week.
Mrs. Sanders would like to give a shout out to 3rd grader Chloe Russ for passing all the way through her 12s in multiplication. Way to go, Chloe. You make us proud.
Mrs. Biggest would also like to give a shout out to Alyssa McGinnis for showing care and compassion for a fellow student. Great job, Alyssa. You're awesome.
Mrs. Shaw would like to give a shout out to 3rd grader Latarius Love and Jacob Sims for passing their 12s in multiplication. Great job, guys.
Dr. Scott would like to give a shout out to Mrs. Biggest, Mrs. Martin, and Miss Plummer's class for spelling out perfect attendance and earning a classroom popcorn party. Great job.
And now it's time for Mrs. Womack to do the fish cash drawing for books.
Hey, before we do the fish cash drawing, I just wanted to remind you that if you did not turn your money in today for your Eastside Elementary shirts, you can do so tomorrow, but you need to bring it in by tomorrow. And now it's time for the fish cash drawing for books. First graders, our first winner comes from Mrs. Adams' class, Liliana Powers. Mrs. Smith's class, Christian Castaneda. Mr. Barnett's class, Malia Mehofer. Our last first grader for this week from Mrs. Adams' class again, and it's Elizabeth Molina. Come on down and get her certificate. Ms. Bennett's class, Alyssa DeMarco. Mrs. Miller's class, Sean Callahan. Mrs. Dower's class, Mandy Hinton, and our last second grader for this week is from Mrs. Poor's class, and it's Brady Bailey. Come on down and get her certificate, Brady. From 3rd grade, Mrs. Stanley's class, Nevaeh Borton. Mrs. Sanders' class, Mr. Reesdale. From Mrs. Shaw's class, Jade Scott. And our last 3rd grader for this week is from Mrs. Shaw's class again, and it's Chloe Howes. Come on down and get her certificate. 4th graders from Mrs. Payton's class, Michael Phipps. Mrs. Reisinger's class, Abby Silva. From Mrs. Reisinger's class again, Jose Cruz. Our last 4th grader for this week is from Mrs. Biggest's class again, Jasmine DeMarco. That's the second DeMarco of the day. Jasmine, come on down and get a certificate. From 5th grade, Mrs. Lavell's class, Alexis Noble. Mrs. Lavell's class again, Caroline Ernie. Mrs. Lavell's class again, Miss Autumn Smith. Our last 5th grader from this week is not from Mrs. Lavell's class. It's from Miss Plummer's class. And the last winner for the week is Echo Bryson. Come on down and get a certificate. And thank you once again, Eastside Explorers, for being proud and positive and productive.
Have a great week.